A trial attorney and former U.S. attorney for the Western District of Virginia, John Fishwick, is here. Good to see you again, sir. One of the main arguments, thank you. One of the main arguments appears to be the most obvious one, that federal law would supersede state and local law. True?
Correct. So what Pam Bondi says in this lawsuit is, President Trump has made, arresting citizens who are not legal citizens a priority. He's passed a number of executive orders. The Lincoln-Riley Act was just passed by Congress and signed by the president. And that says if you're an illegal citizen and you're charged with serious crimes, you need to be detained in this country and deported. And so what Pam Bondi and her team says in this lawsuit is that's the federal law. And so these state and local laws in Illinois are conflicting with that. That is permitting your law enforcement not to cooperate with us. And as the sheriff pointed out, the serious situation is when a state and local officer knows where someone is, but they're not allowed to pass that on to ICE or to the federal agencies. And so I think what Pam Bondi is saying, we need to clear this up. We need to have these state and local laws that are interfering with our efforts be found to be unconstitutional.
The governor, Governor Pritzker, saying a state law here in Illinois relating to sanctuary are compliant with federal law. Does he have a point?
So I can imagine what his lawyers will say is, look, we will cooperate when it's a federal criminal charge, when there's a criminal warrant. Many of these deportation cases are civil deportations where there's an illegal citizen who's been charged with a crime and they civilly are deported from this country. And so I think Pritzker will say, look, we're cooperating with federal criminal cases, but not the civil cases. And that under the 10th Amendment, we can do that. I think that may be a little bit of an uphill argument for him, but I think he's going to say that we're only going to do the federal criminal cases, not the civil cases. I think the federal case has a real point here that it is interfering with those efforts. And so it will be interesting to see what the federal judge does in this case.
And can the judge hold any of these leaders accountable? I mean, you have people not just here in Illinois, but you have leaders in places like Minneapolis who are saying, and Boston, we will not cooperate. We will protect the people living in our communities. They can't say citizens because they're saying they're going to protect everyone living in their communities because of the sanctuary status. Is that basically saying we're defying federal law?
Well, that's certainly what Pam Bondi is saying, and I think this is just the first of many lawsuits that will be filed. I expect they'll be filed in the other sanctuary cities around the country. Chicago is kind of ground zero, and so that's going to be where the first case is heard. And what she's saying, in essence, is you are interfering with our rights to detain folks. In fact, and when you do that, your folks are being harmed because, people who've been charged with crimes are out on the street. And under the Supremacy Clause, you got to follow the federal law. I think the challenge in the case for Pam Bondi, I think she has a very good point under the Supremacy Clause. I expect the judge is going to ask her to give specific examples of how the state law and the local laws are interfering with her efforts. And when she can provide those, I think a court or one of the judges around the country is going to say, you're interfering with the federal rights. Under the Supremacy Clause, these laws are illegal. And that'll be a big push for Pam Bondi's team. This is what's really holding them back in these big cities. And so this is front and center for them to have these laws struck down.
John, we've got to get to our news conference with Governor. Oh, wait. I apologize. I got time for one more question.
That's great.
I was told he wasn't talking yet about what we're going to be discussing. But in terms of these cities offering rights pamphlets, know your rights pamphlets to those who are in the country illegally. We're seeing that in Los Angeles. We're seeing that in Chicago and other places. And that Tom Homan, the border czar, says basically that they're very well-educated immigrants who are here illegally because the cities and states are equipping them with what the law says they can and cannot do. Is that part of this obstruction case, or is that a separate issue? And do immigrants have a right federally to be here, even if they did cross into the country illegally?
So, yes, Adrian, that is not part of this lawsuit, but that will be an interesting issue that develops. A citizen has a right to observe what law enforcement does. They can share information with what law enforcement does. They're not allowed, though, to interfere with law enforcement. And so that'll be where the rubber hits the road in these cases. You can share information. You can talk about what's in the public sphere. But if you actually interfere with what law enforcement does, then you could be obstructing their investigation, and that has the potential to be a criminal charge.
Thank you for watching. Go to NewsNationNow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.